Well, hello there, everyone. It is Sunday, December the 12th in the year 2021. Hopefully this finds you doing well. I just have a afternoon cup of coffee, and look, America's Navy. Hopefully you're doing well. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. Seems like I've been kind of stuck on the same number for a while. So if you know anyone who can benefit from financial information, stories about financial stuff, maybe chats about stocks, real estate, mineral rights, acreage, oil drilling, crypto, etc., feel free to tell them about my channel. Which leads to a question. Do you ever talk to others about investing? Do you? If you don't, have you thought about talking to others about investing? Or have you been like me? I chit chat with others about investing, and I've done it for a long time, but it seems like a lot of times my talks aren't successful. So I have no idea. My talks now, I talk to a camera now. Is this successful? Has my channel benefited any of you? If it has benefited any of you, feel free to comment and let me know. And feel free to let me know how, if you do talk to others about investing, or how you may talk to others about investing. Because investing is a journey. It can be a solitary journey in a way. Like, let's say you start buying, like say when I started buying stocks, when I started buying mutual funds, I didn't know of others who were buying mutual funds. I knew the person that talked to me about him, and he was in prison, because that's, but anyway, that's another story. He wasn't in prison when he talked to me about him, but he ended up in prison. And I really didn't talk to anybody about the mutual funds. Something I just did through the 90s. 1999, I found the Motley Fool. I learned how to buy individual stocks. It was at that time, I think, I started talking to some of my coworkers, some of my peers, because I'd be at work sometimes, and I'd be pulling up my scorecard on the Fool, and I'd be showing them sometimes, like, look at all this green. It's like the stocks just keep going up, up, up. Look at all this green. But I really didn't talk about teaching them how to do it or anything. And then it kind of crashed. 2000, 2001, we had 9/11. But somewhere in the early 2000s, I remember talking to some other coworkers, but it really didn't go very far. And then as the years went on, I met a buddy of mine. This is like 2011, I think we met. He was a coworker, roughly 20 years younger than me. I'm thinking, a little less than 20 years younger than me, I think. And he's working night work this weekend. So I'll let him know to chime in on this channel or this video. But I remember talking to him about it, and he expressed interest. And then I helped him get started with stock investing. He then had a buddy who wanted me to help him, but that buddy kind of fizzled out. He's not really investing. But my buddy who got started, he has a stock portfolio. He has 4 rental properties, or maybe it's 5. I think it's 4 right now, 4 rental properties. And he has a small investment in oil. So he's the one person that I've talked to face that listen to me. Others I talk to, some do get started, I think, but I don't get too much feedback from them. But for the most part, this happened for years and years. People will tell me they want to invest, but they don't have the money, or they don't have the time to learn about it. They're too busy. I've talked to people about my channel, and I've heard people say, I want to watch it, but I'm too busy. I don't have time. I have kids. I have a job. I work 40 hours a week. I work 46 hours a week. I worked 47 hours last week. And it's like every person telling me this is just making an excuse. I mean, that's all it is, an excuse. I've worked throughout my life 40-hour weeks, 50-hour weeks. I've worked 60-hour weeks. I worked 12-hour shifts. I remember I worked 12-hour night shifts in a row one time. So we were 7, 8, 14, 84 hours, I guess, in 7 days. And then I had a day or two off, and I was back to working 12-hour days. I've done stuff like that. I've been in the Navy where I'd work my normal Monday through Friday, probably a 40-hour schedule, more or less. But then I'd stand 4-hour duty every 4 days. You know, it might be midnight to 4 in the morning, 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. to 12 p.m., something like that, or 4 o'clock in the afternoon to 8 p.m. That was the first watch at some duty stations. So, but I learned how to invest. I guess I could say I'm self-taught in a way. I did get a fire lit by that gentleman that did pull 20 years in prison. He kind of lit that spark, but the spark must have been in me. But the frugalness was in me, so he lit that spark on investing. The Motley Fool lit a spark on investing in individual stocks. And then 2017, just the general experiences in life lit a spark for me to start investing in rental property. Because that I had wanted to invest. I like the idea of rental property going back in time for many years ago. My wife can remember me mentioning I'd love to get a rental property when I first got out of the Navy. I talked about, I guess, buying like a trailer, a mobile home, because I was in an area in Virginia where there's lots of mobile homes. And I was like, man, they're cheap. If I buy one, I could rent it. You know, and then when I was in the Navy, I bought a house, and I was up in Maine, and the person contacted me from where my house was, and they wanted to rent it. So my mortgage was $225, and they paid me $250 a month in rent. For probably about 2.5 years, I got the rent check. It would come every month, like clockwork, in the mail to me up in Maine. But I didn't know anything about rental property. And then I got out of the Navy, and I moved to that house, and a year later or so, I sold that house. So, you know, that kind of, I guess, got something going up there. But by that time, my kids were both born. They were young, expensive. So it took a while to get going with real estate. But then in 2017, I started going. And by end of 2020, I had 25 rental units. And as I have found out, those 4 years of buying rental property is what helped me to achieve financial freedom. Okay, so I've said in quite a few videos, I love investing in stocks. I love investing in crypto now. I've just started that in the last month or so. But I truly feel real estate is the way to create wealth. And I think a lot of people make excuses about, they put a mind block up that they can't buy real estate. It's too expensive. Now, granted, there are times, like I think about my two sons. They're both in the Coast Guard. My youngest son's told me he's ready to buy one. He has the money for a down payment, but he's also in the ocean somewhere. And a lot of times when he gets back, he has a week or so, then he goes back out in the ocean. So it makes it a little bit harder because not only is he working a lot, but he's disconnected. He can't get on the internet, I don't think, to be communicating with the mortgage company or trying, you know, et cetera, et cetera. It just makes it difficult. But his day will come. But a lot of people they work normal jobs. They got 24 hours in a day, just like everybody else does. And they make excuses. Because you got to remember, I made a video about this, I think, something to this effect. You don't say you can't, you say, how can I? If you want to buy a rental house and you haven't done it yet, well, how can you do it? You know, if you're like my kid and you're out in the middle of the ocean somewhere, well, when you do get on land, how much time do you have? Do you have a few weeks where you can find yourself a house and get the mortgage process started and maybe explain to them that you're going to deploy again for several weeks, but when you come back, you can continue? I mean, I don't know. It's something to think about. But if you're just a normal civilian working a normal job in one location, well, how can you do it? You can do it. We can all do it. You know, I look around at the folks who do invest, and many of the folks who do invest, they were just regular Joes and Jills and blue-collar workers, not making a whole lot of money, but they had that drive in them. They wanted to get started. And once they get started, because the hardest part is getting started, it's that first step. It's getting out of bed in the morning, taking that first step. The first step is the hardest. But once they get going, because you got to do it. You got to get going. Once you get that first rental house, as long as you don't fail, you learn from your mistakes. Sure, I don't want you to buy a bad first property where you lose money, nothing like that. But my first house, I found a tenant that I had to evict. 2 months later, I had to evict her. And she hung on. And I'd take her to court and all that kind of stuff. And it took a couple months to get her out. But I learned from that. Okay, it didn't break me. I didn't fail. I bounced back. Okay, so sometimes we just got to jump out and do things. You know, like when I started buying crypto, I just jumped in and did it. Crypto market then started dropping. So be it. I'm used to that. I'm used to stocks dropping out. It doesn't bother me. Okay, but I think for a lot of people, if they do take the jump and they buy stocks or crypto, and then the market drops, it scares them. They pull their money out. Don't quit. Learn how to properly invest in either stocks or crypto or real estate. Just don't quit. If you get rental property and your tenants destroy the first house or two, learn from it. Don't quit. Persevere. The guys and gals who succeed with investing, they're not the richest folks. They don't have the high-paying jobs. They don't make a ton of money. And I'm generalizing here. But it's the ones who stick it out through thick and thin. They persevere. They keep trying. They might have to work some overtime to get some more money to get another down payment for a rental house. So they get up to 3. They get up to 4. Maybe they have a kid. So it slows down a little bit, but they're saving their cash flow and they get a 4th. They get a 5th. So they persevere. They stick with it. Because it doesn't happen overnight. And that's one of the problems. Going back to when I was in my 20s, my peers wanted to get rich overnight. Fast forward to now, the young folks, they want to get rich overnight. And they talk about they want to get the next big one, the next grand slam. They want to get rich overnight. But it's a journey. It can happen in as short as 10 years, but 10 years isn't overnight. 365 days in a year, so 10 years is 3,650 days. So they just got to get started. They just got to get started and it goes. It's like buying crypto, Wonderland time. If you invest in crypto, and I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not a CPA and a financial advisor and an attorney. But on the Wonderland site, if you invest in time, it's a process. I'm not going to teach you this process. It's on other channels. But if you buy time, they got a calculator. Based on your investment in there, based on their APR or APY, they'll tell you how your money will grow over time. If I look at 30 days, I might make, my money's not doubling in 30 days, but it's growing. 60 days, growing more. 90 days, growing more. Up around, what did I look it up? I have a very small investment, several $1,000s, but up around day 300, if this were to continue, it shows my results being over $1 million. Okay. Now, I don't think it's going to continue with the high APR all the way for 300 days, but maybe it will. But maybe in 6 months from now, something changes and maybe I sell it. Maybe it's next month something changes and I sell it. We'll see. But I'm going to persevere and stick with it. And I don't need to be investing in crypto. I'm doing it because it's fun. And yes, I'm trying to make a little bit of money. If I was a young person investing in crypto, I would do my best to learn, to get a little chunk of money, and I would take that money and I'd put it into real estate. That's what I would do. I'm not telling you to do it. That's what I would do. So then I would take, if I like crypto, sure, crypto is perhaps the currency of the future. It's a way to invest, but do we invest in the American dollar? So if crypto is the currency of the future, think about it. But you can't capitalize on it now, but real estate, we all need a place to live. All right, so real estate is where it's at. Once you get there, play a little bit. And once you get accredited, branch out into oil drilling and mineral rights acreage. Because I'm here to tell you, if it comes true what they're saying, Mazke's life is going to change with those two investments. With my mastermind group, I've mentioned the oil drilling more so, but even with the mineral rights, it's going to take a little time, but Mazke's life is going to change. All right, I got to finish my cup of coffee and it's getting a little warmer this room. My fan's on, but we've gone through the weather's cyclical and it's getting a little warmer now in Florida, but it's still pleasant, low 80s. So anyway, y'all take care, stay safe, keep smiling, and Mazke's signing out.